Boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. Today is Saturday. Today is going to be a fun day because we are diving back into the Del Sol, my first car that I bought in 2013 and built that thing from the ground up. The car right now, I tried to move it, doesn't really want to move. So I'm going to steal the battery that came from the Supra, bring it over to the car, see if I can't get that thing running because I want to try and bring it over to the shop. In the last video you guys saw us fully strip the engine bay, give it a nice fresh detail, which came out awesome. This thing is making some good headway, some good progress. Man, look at that. If it wasn't for the rust in the corner, I would say that this bay probably wouldn't even need to be painted, but I know that it'll look so much better once it's actually all done. But I'm stoked. It looks freaking good. Have to send the gas cap to Randy so that he can get the paint code, get all that stuff figured out. I think we're gonna go with like a mild shave. So we'll plug any holes that don't need to be there anymore and then prep the rest of the bay, paint it up, make it look beautiful, and then it's on to engine stuff, which I know you guys are stoked about. A lot of my channel is cosmetic enhancement on the cars. So it'll be fun to dive into some performance stuff. It's still so friggin' weird to see this thing in person still. Like, this thing's a relic at this point. But it's gonna be fun to bring it back to life. There's so much that needs to be done to make this thing the exact way that I used to have it when I sold it. I need a new hood if anyone has a hookup on a Del Sol hood. Yeah. Let's see if we can't get this thing started, and then I'm gonna bring it over to the other shop. Well, she don't want to fire up. Not sure why, but she's not having the greatest time. All right, well, I gave the old jump pack a try and it didn't work, so we're gonna see if this Type S Pro will save the day. It should start. All it needed last time was gas, and it still has gas in it, so I'm hoping that that's all it needs. It still doesn't like me. Well, I found another little jump pack. We're gonna see if this one works. It says ready start this time. The other one didn't say that, so fingers crossed. I don't think it'll work. Nope. Little update for you guys. It's been a long time since these have been on the site, but my waving air fresheners are back in stock. You guys know these, you guys love these, and I'm stoked to have them back. Each one comes neatly wrapped in its own little package with instructions on the back. This is the OG, the original waving air freshener that I came out with. We also have the Take It Easy version and also the I don't give a f version. Head down into the description, pick one up. They're super fun to have in your car. They smell great. They're all black ice scented, and they're a really cool little accessory for your car. Thank you guys, and I really appreciate it. All right, so I ended up trying multiple things, trying to get the Del Sol to start, swapping ignition relays, starter relays, testing a bunch of different batteries and jump packs and all that stuff, and nothing seemed to work. So my last ditch effort was to jump the starter itself, and that wouldn't even work. So I took the starter out, tried to jump it on the table over here, and it wasn't moving or clicking or doing anything at all. So I'm gonna deem the starter bad, hopefully. I ordered a new one, gotta pick it up tomorrow, put that back in the car, hopefully the thing will start. But at least I can start on other stuff for the car in the meantime. Throughout my journey of trying to restore this Del Sol back to the way that it was in 2017, right before I sold it, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be replaced and a lot of things that are missing on the car from previous owners after me that swapped things out, changed some stuff around, and stuff just breaking and withering away and stuff like that. So this video, we're replacing a ton of that stuff, which I'm stoked about. And the first thing on the list is the Fender Flares. The OGs know these Fender Flares. I saved up like a month to be able to get these. These are clinched new school Fender Flares, and I bought them in 2014, 2015. At that time, I kind of was transforming the car and changing it from the way that it first looked, and did like a big reveal back then when I had the new wheels, the new flares, lower, this custom riveted duckbill wing that I added to the back, just like a ton of new things, including like the freshly painted mouth and the front bumper. I switched all of that stuff up. But the Fender Flares and the wheels were the big change. And these, as you can see, are absolutely trashed. Every single one of them trashed, destroyed, broken. This is the only one that has held up somewhat over the past 4 years. This one is just gone. It's just completely gone. But this video, we're gonna change that. I reached out to Clinched and told them that I got the car back, and they were more than down to send me out a new set of Fender Flares for this thing. So I'm stoked. I remember when I first got this box when I was 18, and I was so friggin' stoked. Woo! You can see right off the bat already that they look a little different. I guess it's true, I did order these like 8 years ago, so they've definitely gone through some changes over the years. But what we're doing with them, that don't matter. They look the same, they'll perform the same. Oh, they're so much better. So here they are, Clinched over fenders. The fronts are 7 centimeters and the rears are 10 centimeters. I remember this just like it was yesterday. These are not made of fiberglass, these are made of plastic. They're made of ABS plastic, so they're super durable. And it just goes to show, because the same set of Fender Flares lasted 8 years on that car before they started breaking. So that's pretty freaking cool. But as you guys know, the Fender Flares that are on the Del Sol are rusty. And you might be like, how the hell are you gonna rust plastic? Well, I have a little secret that I've talked about years ago on my channel. This was 5-6 years ago, but I'm gonna share that secret with you guys. This that I have in my hand right here is Modern Masters Metal Effects. Now you guys can actually pick this stuff up at local arts and crafts stores in some areas. But basically what this is, it is paint, but it has iron flakes in it. Might be hard to see on camera, but basically what you do is you take this, you brush it onto your surfaces that you want to rust and let it dry. And then this stuff right here is rust activator, which is just basically a mix of chemicals that reacts with the iron flakes that are in the paint and causes them to rust, which means you can make anything paintable rusty. And yeah, it's a cool little hack that I learned 5 or 6 years ago. Since I want to install this stuff tomorrow, I'm gonna get this paint side of stuff done tonight so that by the time tomorrow comes, it's dry. We can do that. We can get the starter, we can put the starter in, make the car run, and then I got other stuff as well for it that I'm really stoked about. All right, every single hole is drilled. I was gonna film it and be like, oh, take your time, measure your holes, all this stuff. But that's not what this car was built by. This car was built by throwing stuff together, having a good time doing it, not really caring that much, and it was fun. So that's what I'm having right now. I'm just having some good old-fashioned 2015 Mike fun. So now's the fun part. We get to rust this stuff. If I remember correctly, it happens in like 5 minutes. So I'll be able to time lapse it and you guys can just see it turn brown, and it's pretty cool. Now I remember when I did these the first time, instead of going horizontal, I went up and down, because I knew that once these were mounted on the car, that would just be the natural way that you would think that this stuff would look. So the other beautiful thing about it is, because the whole car is rusty, there's no right or wrong way this needs to look. It just needs to look rusty. You guys can see what I mean about the textured look. Once this dries and we put the iron paint over it, it'll keep this kind of texture, and I think it'll look pretty cool. The awesome stuff about this is that this stuff dries very quick. So the first two are already ready to have the iron paint put on them, but I'm gonna do those over in the paint booth, because unlike the primer, which is odorless, the iron paint is not. And it's messy and it's gross, and I don't wanna get it in the shop. So I'm gonna move this stuff over in the paint room, and then we're gonna do that in there. Got them all up in the sawhorses. Gonna get started on this iron paint. Excuse me, that's not in focus. All right, so it is wait till it's dry and then spray the activator, so that makes my life a little easier. Okay, so first coat of iron paint is all down. Just ended up laying it on super thick and I was able to cover more at once, but this stuff takes a long time to dry, I guess. Because I started putting second coats on and it started peeling up the first coat and doing stuff like that. So instead of being impatient and trying my best, I'm gonna let this stuff dry and pick up in the morning. I'll lay another coat on and then we can dive into the starter on the car, get the car running, add the other parts in the car that I have waiting. We got plenty to do tomorrow. So in the meantime, I'm gonna let paint do what it's supposed to do and dry, and I'll pick up with this tomorrow. New day, came in here early this morning and laid down the second coat of iron paint on the flares. The first coat was dry, so the second coat went on very easily. Made for a very easy job to do that. And these are ready for the reaction or the activator to get sprayed on. So hung them up, got them all ready to go. Also, after I laid down the second coat, I went and took the old flares off the car and used the riv nuts that came with this new kit and got all the riv nuts installed. So instead of using crappy Home Depot self-tappers like I used before, we're gonna be doing it the right way. But yeah, I haven't done this in a long time and it's pretty cool to watch. So I'm gonna set you guys down on the tripod, get that activator going, and you guys get to watch a cool time lapse of these slowly transforming and rusting, and it's pretty cool. I hung these up so that when I spray this on, it'll work the same way that I laid down the texture, going vertically, so it'll make the most sense and match the best way on the car. But yeah, here we go. Here goes nothing. We'll sit back and see if they change color. I can see the drips coming off the side here are already yellow, so I know that it's starting to work. Pretty freaking cool, right? Like I said, watching this reaction happen is always super satisfying, especially when you speed it up and time lapse it. But while these are drying, I'm going to take the liberty and start on the next parts that are for this car. Again, parts that I bought for this car friggin' 7-8 years ago, and parts that are no longer in the car because one of the owners decided to keep it along the way. Originally in the Del Sol, I had my factory steering wheel and I just like spray painted it and was being really stupid at the time, just trying to make a joke. And that was because I couldn't afford aftermarket steering wheel. And I eventually saved up enough to be able to get that aftermarket steering wheel. And my first choice was a Grip Royal Woody. But yeah, as the car got passed around between owners after I sold it, one of the owners decided to keep the steering wheel, and I've been using a vice grip to move the car around ever since. So today is the end of that. I reached out to Grip Royal and they were more than down to send me another Grip Royal Woody for my car. So I'm super stoked. I also picked up just a NRG quick release because the car already has an NRG short hub in it. Dang, they even threw in some swag. Appreciate you guys. I'll leave the Clinched Flares and Grip Royal in the description. Be sure to go check them out. They've been a big help with this video and I couldn't be more appreciative. Ooh, look at that, baby. Fresh, brand new. I'm so freaking stoked about this. I'm so pumped about this. Got that quick release in there. Woo, I am melting in here, dude. Just like that, she's looking back to the way she did in 2015. Brand new Grip Royal Woody. Steering wheel's back in, no longer need to use a vice grip. Got the friggin' starter, boys. Finally, the right one came in, was able to go scoop that up. So I'm gonna go slap it in the car hopefully this is the solution to why it's not starting. So I tried everything else and it's pissed me off. New starter is installed. I remember when I was like 18, 19, didn't know how to replace a starter. Ended up sending this car to our local garage back home, and I think I paid like $460 or something to have my starter replaced. I just did it in like 3 minutes, and it was the easiest thing in the world. But yeah, starter's in, all good there. I left this battery charging all night. It's at 100%. Ignore the dumb battery cables right now. This car did have a trunk setup for the battery at one point, but I don't know why. They ended up pulling it back through the car and leaving the harness long and in the engine bay. That'll get fixed in the future. I just want to know if this thing's gonna start. So I have high hopes because I checked off all the other boxes and nothing else seemed to fix the issue. So I'm hoping that this is it, but if it's not, I'm gonna probably end up pushing this car to the side again for a little bit because I have more important stuff that I have to do. All right. Are you kidding me? That's a real bummer. I was really riding on that working. Why? 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 All right, well, after a few hours of messing around with this thing, I decided to take off every single ground that was in the engine bay, clean it, wire wheel it, clean both ends, put them back together, and it was the grounds. I didn't have to buy that starter, but it's okay. It's no big deal. I'm just stoked that I was able to figure out the problem. Shout out to Clint. He was the one that suggested me to check all the grounds. I figured that they were all good because the car had worked previously without cleaning them, but I guess it did sit outside for a long time, so. New day, boys. I'm out here. I got the Fender Flares all finished up. You can see new, old. They match pretty well, but I'm gonna go and just start getting these mounted up on the car. I'm gonna do the rears first. I'm trying to beat the sun, but I'm not doing a very good job of it, so. See how they look, cut them to length, and go from there. All right, first flares mounted up, everything lined up exactly the way it did before. As you can see, these flares are universal, so they have a very large fit to them. What I did previously was basically just find a good flat line right there and cut the excess off. So I'm gonna mount the other one to the other side, and then I'm gonna draw a line and trim these to size. I'm also not gonna clear coat them right away. I'm gonna let them kind of do their own thing in the sun, in the rain, and they'll eventually get the same color or similar color to the car itself. The clear coat will also darken them up a little bit, so that'll help blend it in, but I'm gonna let them sit outside in the elements for a few days before doing that. And just like that, check it out. Fender Flares mounted back on the car. Just finished trimming all of them so they're trimmed exactly the way they used to be. I also added some satin black paint to the side here, just like it was before, and that's drying now. But this thing was never really a good looker in the sun, but having fresh Fender Flares back on this thing definitely makes it look that much more complete. So I'm very stoked about that. Once again, huge shout out to Clinched Flares. Check them out, their link is in the description. But now it doesn't look that much broken anymore. But I still want to figure out the start issue, because now that it cranks, I want to actually like run and drive this thing and move it around. It might just be low on gas again. I don't know. I haven't tested that yet, but I'm going to test it later today, and we'll see if I can get this thing to move. Just threw a fresh jug of 93 in this thing, so we're gonna rule out and see if it was a gas issue, even though I don't think that it was, but we'll see. Okay, it was just a gas issue. Love that. Worst sounding vehicle ever. Like literally worst sounding vehicle ever. Definitely need to change that in the future and get this thing quiet again. She's friggin' running again. I'm gonna let it warm up a little bit and then I'm gonna drive it to its new home so that it's not stuck over here. This is a good video. It had a bunch of ups and downs and a bunch of crap, but it worked out in the end. So I'm stoked about that. Successfully moved it 50 feet, but she's getting a little warm and they're doing testing right now, so I'm gonna wait until they're done with that and then I'll let this thing cool down and drive it. All right, let's try this again. I added an overflow, didn't have an overflow on it. I don't think the fan's working, but was a little low on coolant as well, so. All right. Sounding vehicle I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm holding the camera here so that I don't, so that it doesn't fall off. But she's cruising. We're doing the thing. Brakes work. God, this thing sounds so bad. All the gears seem to work fine. This transmission's unknown to me, so that's always good to see that it's not a total screwed up engine. This thing's idling at 2,000 RPM. This thing's got some bugs to work out, that's for sure. But she did it. Ugh, Jesus. That was the most invigorating 10-mile-an-hour drive I've ever done. But she's running, she's driving. New flares, new steering wheel. Flares are on, flares are rusted, painted, bumpers on. I think either I'm gonna tackle the front bumper next in terms of things to fix, or the front bumper and the hood, because this hood definitely needs to go. I'm gonna cut out this section and rivet it onto the new hood. That way it shares the same patina. A couple odds and ends here and there to get this thing running perfect, but it's easy stuff. These old single cams, you can stand inside the engine bays from factory. There's so much room to work on them. Should be easy to get this thing running and driving perfect again. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a fun one to make, diving back into the past with this car. Like I said in the beginning of this video, my waving air fresheners are back in stock. So if you want to pick up one of them, the link will be in the description. Be sure to go check it out. It helps me tremendously. You guys know I'm trying to grow a brand, grow a business, and I can't thank each and every one of you enough for supporting. Thank you guys so much for watching, and me and the Del Sol will see you in the next video.